Joining me from Jerusalem is the US Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. I've admired your work for a long time. Do you see any genuine signs of reform from the Palestinian Authority of the kind it promised in exchange for being recognised by countries like Australia, Britain and France?
I would love to tell you that it is a reform in motion, but we're not seeing it. What we are seeing is a way of changing the manner in which the payments are done, but the payments are still taking place. It's being moved through a welfare system rather than a direct pay through what they call the Prisoner and Martyr Fund. But the rhetoric continues, and President Abbas has continued to say repeatedly that if there's only one penny left in the Treasury, the last penny will go to the prisoners and to the martyrs, which, by the way, that's euphemism for the terrorist. So it is still problematic. The U.S. has a problem with it for many reasons, not the least of which is it is a violation of a U.S. law called the Taylor Force Act. We cannot be helpful and we cannot provide financial assistance as long as the PA is providing money that enriches terrorism.
But doesn't it frustrate you then that all these countries have said, oh, well, you know, they banked these promises, they recognized the Palestinian state, they were cheered by Hamas, and now they say nothing. I mean, they've been lied to, the promises are broken, and not a bat squeak out of them.
It's very frustrating. It's exasperating. And last summer, when French President Macron led the charge to unilaterally declare a Palestinian state and to have this big meeting at the UN in New York, it was really harmful to the process that we were trying to work through to do a couple of things. One was get the hostages free out of Gaza, and the other was to alleviate some of the problems that really are serious financial problems within the Palestinian Authority. But the reason they're problems is because the Palestinian Authority made promises all the way back in 2017 that they would stop the pay for slay, as we, the U.S. calls it, and that they would also change the curriculum in their schools, which teach children as young as the first grade to hate Jews, to aspire to kill them, and to know that the highest achievement in life is to kill as many Jews as possible. With that being cooked into the culture, it's very difficult to get to a place where peace will abound. So we started, we, the U.S., saying, look, these reforms have to happen. If you're going to have any release of tension between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, this is step one. Well, we haven't gotten to step one yet. So when Macron and Starmer and others were pushing for a Palestinian Authority to be declared unilaterally, first of all, it violated the Oslo Agreement. Secondly, it absolutely stalled any progress at all in the hostage situation. Hostages were kept longer because of it. And the third thing, it ended any type of discussion that we were having with the Israelis to try to get this financial situation resolved, because quite frankly, as much as we were sometimes at odds with and disgusted with the Palestinian Authority for continuing pay for slay and problems in education, we're not interested in seeing them collapse financially, because all we know, it could lead to a third intifada. And right now, that's not good for anybody.
Meanwhile, it seems that our government is working out ways of saying no politely to the invitation from Donald Trump to join the Board of Peace that the president wants to set up to rebuild and run Gaza once Hamas terrorists there disarm, which actually they're refusing. The board's draft charter says President Trump will be chairman for life of that Board of Peace, and some say that the real plan is for it to morph into an alternative to the United Nations. Why should Australia join it, and will a refusal offend?
I think it maybe is fair to say that a refusal wouldn't exactly be met with celebration. I'm not going to say that it has lingering consequences, because I don't know. But I'm not sure why Australia would not want to participate. Think about this. Every Arab League nation, every single one, has signed on to the peace agreement, the ceasefire. Most European nations have. Most of the world's countries, even the ones in the Western Hemisphere, have done so. for Australia not to be a part of it, especially as much noise as they made last year about how we needed to do more for Gaza. And then now you have the opportunity and you say, yeah, we said a lot of that, but we didn't mean it, and we're not going to actually do it. I'm not sure how Australia's government justifies not wanting to be a part of it, but that's something you can ask them more easily than I can.
Is it true, Mr. Ambassador, that there is a plan to expand this eventually to becoming an alternative voice, hopefully of democracies, to the United Nations, which seems to be too often a plaything of tyrannical regimes, authoritarian ones?
I've not heard anyone really say that the purpose of the Board of Peace is to become an alternative to the United Nations. If those conversations are being held, I've not been a part of them. I really don't think that's what it's about. It's really about Gaza, getting it back on its feet, trying to make it something that is livable. The reason it isn't livable is not because Israel. The reason it isn't livable is because Hamas refused to let hostages go, and they put civilians right in the face of every time the Israelis would say, this is a target. We're going to take it down because there are rocket manufacturing facilities going on. There are arms stashes being built. And so we're going to take it out, get away from it. And Hamas would force their citizens back into it. The suffering of Gaza is solely on Hamas for what they did October the 7th and what they continue to do for 2.5 years after that. So it's very important to people understand why Gaza is the mess it is. Could have been Singapore. These people turned it into Haiti. But I'm not looking at the Peace Board as an alternative to the UN. I'll be the first to admit, and I'm not speaking now for the president or the secretary or the State Department, but I'm no fan of the UN. I saw what they did in aiding and abetting what Hamas was doing last summer, making it difficult to get humanitarian aid into the people. And when it did get in, what the UN sent in, 92% of it ended up getting hijacked, stolen, and looted by Hamas.
Yes, that's also aid that we've helped pay for in Australia, turning a blind eye to that kind of thing. Ambassador, to Iran, which has funded Hamas and funded other terrorist groups like Hezbollah, has now killed a reported 30,000 Iranian protesters protesting against the regime. The US has hundreds of aircraft now parked over the border. It's got an armada that's in the seas off Iran, ready to go, including an aircraft carrier group, all ready to strike. Yesterday, the US shot down an Iranian drone that was flying at US ships in the Arabian Gulf there. But Iran and the US are meanwhile supposedly discussing some kind of deal over Iran's nuclear weapons program in particular. What's your call? Are we getting peace? Are we getting war?
It's up to the Iranians. The president's made it very clear that they're not going to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have enriched uranium. I don't know how much clearer he could be. He's not only been clear, but he's been consistent. He's never said anything other than that. Look, the president would love to see a peaceful resolution. He would love to see the slaughter of the innocent people of Iran stop immediately. But Iran has to, first of all, stop killing their own people. That's up front and center. But then they've got to decide whether they want a war or whether they want to continue to try to develop nuclear weapons that, let's be honest, for 47 years, they've been saying they were going to take down Israel and then they were going to take down the U.S. They've said all along, Israel is the appetizer, the U.S. is the entree. It's death to Israel, death to America. And I don't think we can continue to be stupid and think they wouldn't do it. Because when someone tells you for 47 years that their goal is to kill you, smart play is to start believing them and push back on them and say, look, you can either live in a world in which you decide that a peaceful future is possible, or you can live in one where we have no choice but to kick your butt. And that's what we did last summer. I think the president would love to avoid that, but he's already demonstrated that he's willing to do it again. We sometimes say, where I come from in America, there is no education in the second kick of a mule. It means that once the mule has kicked you and you're stupid enough to stand behind it again, you're going to get kicked again. So Iran might want to think about what President Trump is saying and what he's trying to offer them. Whether they will come to terms and be realistic and sitting at the table, time will tell.
Ambassador Mike Huckabee, I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you so much.